Hello and welcome to our coverage of the Prada show, which is one of the hottest tickets in Milan Fashion Week. Everybody's taking their seats at the moment, and we are joined today by a fabulous panel. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Carlo, you start. Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Carlo Brandelli and I'm a designer.
I'm Yasmin, Sewell. I'm a consultant in fashion and retail.
And I'm Jeremy Healy and I'm a DJ.
So we have a lovely mix of people today to talk about Prada. Yasmin, have you ever been to a Prada show?
Not for a few years, maybe since 2006 or 7. It's really one of the biggest shows of all the season. New York, London, Paris, Milan.
Yeah.
Prada is one of the top 3. So it's a major show, and it really defines the season. It's hugely influential, and Miuccia will come up with something completely new, and it's always really exciting.
What do you think it is about the Prada brand that has that? What is this?
She's just a genius. She's a real revolutionary in what she does. It's always evolving. It's beautifully constructed. It's uber modern. It's feminine. Women wear it. It's global. It's a phenomenal brand in every way.
Yeah.
And she just keeps reinventing, what the brand is and the aesthetic, and it's unexpected, which we all love. Yeah. Fashion girls, newness all the time.
She was in that cartoon. She was a cartoon in the Untouchables. Was it Untouchables? Yeah. That's really funny. She made the.
She was a cartoon in Untouchables?
Yeah, she was like the designer of his cape and his outfit, and she made it. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, she was only that big in it though, and they were much taller than her. I don't know how tall she is in real life.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I got invited to an intimate dinner with her, and there were 400 people there. So it don't actually matter.
That constitutes intimate in Italy, doesn't it? That's probably to do with the wit. Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Prada show, Carlo?
I have. Yeah, 96 or 97.
Was it men's or women's wear?
It was women's wear, and it was just before I was halfway through the Squire project, which was the last time I saw Jeremy. We were talking about it earlier. I was just thinking when Yasmin was speaking, that word that comes to mind, modern, contemporary, doesn't matter what she does, that comes through really obviously. And in the later years, for me, it is a bit of humour as well, which I didn't really attach to Prada label years ago, because it seems so serious, because they were always setting a new standard or trying to push sportswear with menswear. Because I reviewed the menswear show a month ago now.
Yeah.
And the wit started to come through. As I said this morning, I looked at one of the magazines for the campaign, and there was definitely a Japanese feel to what they were doing now. But also there was something in the shoe or the sock that was really whimsical. Yeah. And I hadn't picked that up from Prada before. I saw it in Miu Miu, but not in Prada, Interesting.
Well, which Pradas are you wearing today?
I don't wear a lot of Prada, but I am sporting my big silver new season Prada shoes, which are getting a lot of attention. And I wasn't even thinking about today's panel, but I just bought them, and everyone on the streets are loving them today.
And do you think it's unusual for women's wear, for Prada is as strong in its women's wear as it is in its men's wear, would you say? I mean, usually you have one that is more successful than the other, a bit Hansel and Gretel, but Prada seems to change it with both. She leads with both men's and women's.
Yeah, I don't know what the portion of the business is. I don't know what is a bigger business.
Bigger cut.
I would presume women's wear.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the ratio.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ratio would be.
It was the accessories and the handbags. And
the
luggage.
Yeah, I said this before for the men's thing. I remember the Italian women that lunched walking around with these blue nylon bags with big gold chains.
Yeah.
Again, early 90s, actually late 80s.
Yeah.
And then it really broke in Japan, I remember, because I was out there working and seeing this label everywhere. And then the menswear was maybe 94, 95, 96, Prada Sport and the Flash, the red Flash. Have you worn it, Jeremy? Do you like Prada? Yeah, you have. When did you get into it?
I like lots of their stuff, actually.
Yeah. How long ago, the menswear?
I don't know. It's funny. I think they made expensive nylon, didn't they? They made nylon expensive because it was always very cheap before that, wasn't it? And they were the first ones to go, oh, nylon's going to be really expensive from now on.
They did. Well, because that came from the bag, because I don't know if you guys, did you have the nylon bag, the original quilted nylon bag?
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did start to push nylon as a fabric. But I mean, Louis Vuitton.
And then it was all
well.
black for ages,
black.
and then you're right. When they turned to all the patterns and that was really radically different. I just think that their breadth of what they've got and their shops and everything are fantastic, and I don't think they're better by that many people at all.
No.
In terms of when you go in there and the experience. And the amount of stuff in there is really second to none, I would have said.
Were you interested in the sportswear for the men's?
A little bit,
Or was it the main,
chavvy, sportswear. No, I like various different things. I get a lot of their shoes, and they tend to have some good. I mean, I was going to swear, but I'm not going. They have some wacky shoes as well, But there's a very funny website which we can't mention the name of it, where you can find these very amusing shoes. It's called. Can I swear?
Yeah.
It's called Mr. Cunty's Shoe Emporium.
Is that an English website or a Japanese one?
I don't know. My girlfriend found it. Dr. Cunty's Shoe Emporium.
It's obviously not a Prada endorsed website.
Well, you can see
you might
some.
Be getting it closed down.
But they do things like they have loaves on, like loafers made of loaves and bread and stuff. It's quite funny. I mean, it's very humorous. Yeah. And I think they do some certain. I mean, Prada do shoes that look like ice creams and things like that, don't they? You know, like funny.
Yeah,
colours.
they do some. Cool. Yeah.
But I really like. I think they're amazing. And they keep coming up with new ideas.
Yeah.
There's not many people who do that in the shoe game.
And stay relevant. Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to know from a woman's perspective if the sport made any impact with the label, because it changed things for men.
I remember the sport being in the late 90s.
Yeah.
It was all about that sport, and I was
red
wearing
tag.
the like little pants with the sport thing, and there was a moment where we all got into it, I think. But now, I mean, maybe more on a mass level in the airports, maybe that customer. But now, in terms of where it is with fashion, it hasn't started, has it? No. With fashion, no, I don't think for women, for us, where we're sitting,
it's not consideration.
Today, no, I don't think so. But it's definitely, obviously, still a business.
Yeah, I think it made.
And I'm sure the men's business for sport is bigger. I'm sure, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, well, we talked about it on the
research.
menswear panel. It was a stylist, David Bradshaw, that worked on that for those seasons. And as I said, Jeremy said earlier, it was expensive nylon, but the function that was interesting about using nylon is you could move in it because it stretched. And before, menswear was about. Well, it was a bit more about rigour and keeping you. Well, the fabrics, there wasn't really much experimentation in fabric until then. And then when they said, actually, you can make the whole garment, you can make the whole jacket, you can make the whole trouser, all in complete nylon, people started to think, oh, yes, of course, modern contemporary fabrics. And that spawned a whole bunch of other designers thinking about how you use fabric and form and function in a different way. So, but I'd never thought about women's wear associated to sportswear for Prada either. It was always this underlining, sexy.
But I think there is
narrative.
there's a functionability to all of the clothes. I mean, although it's sexy and feminine, it is functional. I think Prada is...
You can actually, I was just thinking, you can always, no matter what's happening with the show, the show will go somewhere major.
Yeah.
There's always a certain Prada silhouette you can buy in the store.
Yeah.
You can always get a nice shift dress, a black little pinafore dress and a great capri pant, and everything's made just right. So there is that consistency for women's wear. You can always get a nice platform and a good, so she's got that, obviously, and she'd have to have that business.
Would you buy appointments with Prada?
They don't really wholesale.
Why do you think that?
Well, they don't really need. I mean, these big brands, Vuitton and Chanel and Prada. I mean, their whole business model is about their own retail and concessions, which is why someone like me hasn't worked with them so closely. But they don't need to. They just need to own all their own stuff because they're big guys.
Yeah.
Was it true in the 90s there were brands like Prada that started to dictate to retailers about how much they should buy, and it was almost a condition, and they were the first people to do that?
I think, I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, these guys would definitely be able to do that, and at times when they would have wholesaled, yes, they would have dictated, and any major player in the industry can dictate, and it is really a partnership.
But as much as it's dictating, they can request shop placement or where they are within a department store.
No, but back in the night, I remember somebody saying, and I was always involved with smaller directional labels, but they would say, oh, actually, you have to take this whole collection and you have to even put it in this concession. They started to dictate where you stocked it and how much you took.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was Prada.
I think it was Prada.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I said I didn't know. I wasn't on that commercial side.
But I mean, she has such a sort of like specific vision of all of every single detail, I think.
It's too controlling though, Camilla, to actually start to dictate how much you buy, because fashion has been about individuality.
Yeah, no, that part for sure. But the way when you go into the store and every detail is you enter her world, I can understand why to a point when you go to a department store that she wants to have the whole experience to echo where she's pushing it or where she's taking it.
Is that power relevant anymore in 2013?
I think
do you want to see the same thing in a store in Paris, in Milan, in Tokyo?
It's different with these guys.
Designer?
These guys are so big.
This is something different.
Yeah, just because they're so big. I mean, they all wholesale to a Corso Como in Milan, and and they would be able to do their own space, and it really works. But generally, Prada is in Prada spaces. Phenomenal Prada stores. The collection is huge. I don't think that's really an issue. I think that she can do what she wants, really.
I mean, it's put me off having. I think these big brands have a responsibility to the original customer base who were opinion formers. And if you see some people interested in wearing these brands, everyone else wants to wear these things as well. So these big players that have become so powerful now, and they're almost ignoring the spirit of individuality. They're saying, as you say, it's something else. I'm not saying it's a positive or a negative. I'm just saying it's become matter of fact. Whereas they're taking away that choice from you. And it is a whole holistic world. I mean, when Rem Koolhaas designed that first Prada store, I was like, wow, he was one of my architectural heroes. And when he started to work in that way, it made me think about the brand in a different way. Whereas now, people are sort of, I'm talking about men's, I suppose, more than women's, as I discussed earlier. It's called, you've sort of taken a step back and thought, well, actually, what are they saying? Do I need this here? It doesn't bother you, Jeremy. You buy the same thing in the store in Paris, in Milan.
Actually, I found that was really good.
It works.
Then if you're looking for something specific, which I normally am if I'm going there, I wanted a pair of shoes. And I happened to be in 3 different countries, and I finally tracked them down in Paris. Okay. But in my size, I found them. I was in Singapore, and they didn't have the right size. They had the shoe, and then eventually, because they have
they're everywhere.
Everywhere, I managed to get exactly what I wanted, which I kind of thought was quite impressive, really.
Yeah, I can see that from function and time because you're busy and travelling, but. I don't know on what sort of demographic or customer base these brands have based their clientele on. I mean, who first bought Prada? It was opinion formers, people that were interested in style, that had some money. I mean, that was the basis of how they started to work. And then it filtered through to the people that wanted to aspire to buying these things. Fashion students,
I do think that Prada has
sector.
Always been targeting very fashion forward and opinionated dresses. I mean, when the Womenswear launched in '88 with the little triangle, the logo triangle and the black nylons, it's always been a label that's been favoured by the fashion, press and the buyers, and it's gone. I think the way she's taken it is it's gone from the nylons to the Prada Sport era, and now the way she plays with print, she's always pushing it into a way that it builds each season, and I think that that's a strength actually and keeps it very original and unexpected.
I think it's very original. I mean, I think it's also because what she does in the show is always incredible. Even if you don't like it, it's still incredible.
A Prada show to review is like a heart attack show to review because there are never any notes, there's never any press release. It's like an Agatha Christie novel. You have no clues as to how or what you're going to find.
And you probably have to process it a little bit. Like even today we're going to talk about it, but it's one of those shows that you want to step away from and go, okay, maybe I get where she was going.
It's moving.
Oh, we better start. Let's get a bit of music.
Oh.
Well spotted, Jeremy.
Are we getting a sort of surreal context here?
Well, it's all quite a lot of contrast, isn't it, with the asymmetric hem, the quite, the sequins against the wet look hair.
This length on skirts is sort of everywhere. Everything is longer. We're rarely seeing anything short at the moment.
Fabulous
which
sleeves.
I love, yeah.
What's this music, Jeremy?
I think it's Mission Impossible.
Okay.
Name that tune.
Name that tune. So it's a different version though. I haven't heard this version before, but
I mean, away from the clothes, they were quite particular to show in the camera shot that fan blowing wind in the air. Then you've got that silhouette of the cat.
Oh no,
There's
with
a shadow.
Prada it's very specifically shot. Last season it was shot from the foot up so that you always saw the shoe and the accessories, like it very much picked out the parts of the story and the message that it wanted you to see. When you do shows, Jeremy, how are you briefed when you do music for shows?
Well, it's very different. It can be, it can be anything. I mean, obviously this is like a film soundtrack, so it's not so much a rhythm thing. It depends how you're gonna. There's no right or wrong way. There's just loads of different ways to do it. So.
I mean, is it better to have? Is there a tempo that it's better to have? Is it? I mean, are lyrics appropriate or not, or is it all very much dependent on the mood of the collection?
Yeah, I mean, with John Galliano, it could be anything. I mean, we've done like play school music, and it could be absolutely anything, and that's what makes it fun because then we're always surprising people, and the more radically different it is, the better, really.
Is it instinctive on the day as well?
No, it's
nothing at all on the day.
No.
All pre-planned.
No, it's all ridiculously. I mean, with Victoria's Secret, we start in June and the show's in November. We're literally working for 6 months beforehand.
Yeah.
So, it's about the least spontaneous thing that you can have.
And Yasmin, what are you thinking of the
This is
stripes?
I'm just going to say, I really like the stripes.
Fade to grey, isn't it? It is, isn't it?
I love the
I
love the cut of the textures and the tweeds.
I think it's interesting. Like stripes has always been around for so long, a new way of doing them. I think the way she does it is really fresh and it looks really cool. It kind of feels relevant for a winter collection. Yeah. It's kind of a bit eerie, the whole show and the vibe and the mood. It's a bit Hitchcock in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like this asymmetric hem
and quite a full skirt there.
Yeah, in fact, it really looks like a Prada collection. Like sometimes she can do a collection that can be really a step away. Whereas this, I can see it on the rail in the store. The button-down jacket and the collar. It's very Prada. The shoes are very Prada, like a chunky shoe. She does that so well. It's a bit of check. We're seeing a lot of check at the moment. I mean, it's pretty safe. Like it's not.
It's safe.
Yeah, it's quite safe.
It's what you expect from Prada, the colour palettes.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes you do a collection where you do not expect at all, which I
love.
love.
Sometimes she just throws
just like,
it.
whoa, hello. But this is...
What's the overriding message everyone's getting? I mean, there's a little bit dishevelled, which was in the men's show as well.
But it's a controlled
What's the
dishevelled.
cat? Why the cat?
I don't think it's a cat.
Is that mystery, mischievous?
I think there is a sort of film noir.
Yeah, isn't it? The
vibe
Hitchcock,
to
yeah,
it.
I'm getting that. It's
why?
because she likes it.
Okay, it is, I forget.
Because she's
It's a
feeling
bit
it.
superfluous, and I remember.
It's just a mood.
Yeah, it's just
No,
a
but
thing.
you need to sort of have all of your senses involved with it, and I think she's doing that to set the scene. I mean, she doesn't do a press release, she doesn't spell out, and she very much is one of these designers that is called the thinker, and I think she has to set clues all around the room to help pull you into this moment that she's delivering.
I really like the styling of the sort of sweater underneath the dress. What I don't like about it though is that, when you break it down, it's just a sweater.
Yeah.
And it's never as good as it is like that, you know? And I love how that looks off the, it's very sexy.
But that's a new sleeve, isn't it? I mean, that's something that I think people will...
Here comes the fur for the anti-fur people.
Yeah. And then the tweed with the sequins.
You know, so far, you know, the season has been a little conservative, you know. It's a bit covered up, it's longer lengths, there's lots of A-line, lots of wasted A-line, very lady. And then she's really tapping into it. I mean, it's
a lot of different textures in that last look. To me, again, and I haven't been watching women's wear specifically, there are just so many textures, so many images, so many different identities and layers that it doesn't even seem as if it's directional anymore. She's creating a direction from everything that's in her mind.
But I think Prada always makes sense of all the ideas that are thrown out there into a season. I think
and she tries to distill it into...
I think there are certain shows that are pivots in the season, and there's Marc Jacobs in New York, then there's Prada in Milan, and they start to make sense of what's happening and where everything's going. Do you look at trends at shows, Jeremy?
No. I barely look at them. I mean, I've always listened for the music and see the production and, you know, the ideas of that.
Yeah, I'm feeling the music.
Do you think the music could be a bit more upbeat, or is this good for you?
Well, I think they're trying to make it a bit edgy with that, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're trying to make it a little bit more darker with the music. I like it. I think he's done it all right.
There is an undercurrent of darkness to this, isn't there?
Yeah.
Or suspense, shall we say? Suspense?
Yeah.
Intrigue, maybe.
Intrigue
is a good one.
Yes.
As my grandmother would say about an old film, a lot of intrigue.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for the woman to come out with a big knife on with the stabbing motion.
Well, maybe maybe Mrs. Prada's saying something about the ladies that review her shows, and she knows that there's a knife in her back all the time. Because you know, fashion is a game when it comes to the reviews, and now Twitter's thrown it out there, and things like this, you have to spit your opinion out straight away, whereas before you got a few minutes to distill it, you know.
I think beyond all these codes and this semiotic language she's using, it's always quality, and you can see that. It's
beautifully
in the
made, and even though there's, you know, the looseness and off the shoulder, it's very controlled, and it's an immaculate finish on all of the pieces.
Yeah, there's a lot of this shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of this off the shoulder thing happening. Even Jonathan Saunders is off the shoulder. Lots of silhouettes pulled off the shoulder. I love that. I think that's such a beautiful part of a woman's body.
Yeah.
I really am into the way they're styling that with the knitwear. Yeah. I think it's just, I want to wear that right now. It's hot.
You like this, Yasmin, don't you?
I like, no, actually, I don't love this, to be frank, but I love the styling of the shoulder and the knitwear.
Oh, I see.
think the collection's actually quite straight, you know, pretty straightforward. I think it's, you know...
You mean you've seen it before from Prada, or you've seen it before?
It's not like it before.
It's not like wham, bam, here's an amazing collection that's going to like blow my mind, but it is beautiful.
You see,
I'm into this shoulder detail.
Yeah. Camilla, I have seen that before. It's called shopping for yourself and vintage, and putting textures and old furs together with pieces of tailoring.
This is great.
But this is maybe linked to her Italian heritage.
But this is... It has a twist to it, and it is, you know, you wouldn't just go in and find something like that. It's the way it's been put together in each of the pieces. I think it's very much...
Is that design or styling, though?
But I think a lot of her design is about the styling. I think she is, you know, I think her styling is very much part of her brand. I think you have to buy into the whole
it might be one piece. That might actually be all attached.
Yeah.
If so, that would be amazing. But, you know, it could be... That could be one right there.
Yeah, that could all be one.
That could be one.
Trick.
Exactly. In that case, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah. And you know, like the slight oversizing on the buckles or the large heel soles that she likes. And it's Pat McGrath and Guido doing the hair and makeup. So she has her core team around her.
Jodie, do you think it's a mood of the moment? Just take it really out of context. Is that a mood that you see?
What, the mood of this show?
Yeah, for the mood of the times in which we live in.
There's been like a big Hitchcocky thing this year, and you know, because it was. I mean, a lot of those were kind of 50s, isn't it? It's kind of 50s looking, although it's a bit modern. But
she always refers to 50s. A lot, doesn't she?
50s,
that's again linked to her culture and her Italian heritage. You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's the 100th year of the house this year, and you know.
Is it?
Yeah, the Womenswear started in '88, but I think, you know, if you do have a rich archive around you, and also she herself is very much a woman that likes to show a 50s style. She very much dresses with that kind of thing, and I think, I don't know, maybe it's a women's designer for women, or, you know, I think...
I see that when you said that, Camilla. That's when I refer to things that you can buy from vintage space. That's how Italian girls dressed for a long time, and obviously she's an Italian designer and now she's older and she has the context of 30 or 40 collections behind her. But I understand that there is a modern sensibility about how she puts it together.
I mean, sometimes
she does come from styling as well.
Yeah, but sometimes she does. I mean, she is a bit like a Marc Jacobs, that she has the yin and the yang. Like sometimes there are the greased lightnings or the ice cream shoes that you enjoyed, or big prints. And I think it is very much a barometer of where we are now, that these are the colours and the palette and textures that she wants to have. It's weird. I don't know where the audience are. It's almost like they've been.
I like the lighting on the catwalk. It's really good, isn't it?
It's
beautiful.
Really nice. It's a really great set because it's almost like the audience has been sort of pushed to one side and the wolves are out.
It's a cat.
Yeah, it keeps occurring.
I mean, it's a great set. It's a huge
beautiful
venue,
set.
We tried having pigs in the Galliano show once because I got this.
Oh, you mean literal the animal?
It was so funny.
We
yeah.
weren't talking about the press.
And well, I had this wild boar. I bought it. You know that shop Beretta?
Yeah.
They had these stuffed little wild boar teddy bears things, and I thought they were joking, but they were actually for sale.
Yeah,
they sell the guns to shoot the things.
Yeah, they do.
And then they've got the cuddly toy room. So I went and bought one, and I took it to the show, and John said, "Oh, this is fantastic." And the next show, he's like, "And we'll get pigs in, and we'll have the pigs." And they were cute little pigs, but as soon as you pick them up, they screamed. And then they shat everywhere. So we couldn't use them in the it was very funny, and they were chasing them around the floor and everything.
It's a
delicacy. Never wanted animals in fashion.
No, it's a delicacy in Italy. Cinquiale, wild boar. No, it is. They make all the salamis out of them. Yeah.
Listen, you're missing the finale look here, talking about pigs, you creatures.
We went off piste.
Yeah, you did. Oh look, I thought that was I thought that projection was a painting. It's all projected all around.
It's beautiful.
Well, there is a romanticism that she's trying to portray with the birds flying away and this feeling of moving the air with the fan. She's juxtaposing a lot of ideas there. That's the point I was trying to make about this mix.
I mean, last season it was in a tea house, so you couldn't have it sort of further away. It was in a geisha tea house last season, and this time her muse is going through a much more depressing state of life.
Yeah, she's a little heavier.
Yeah.
Ghoulish.
What do you think of it, Yasmin? Do you think I thought it was a great collection.
I think it was a beautiful collection. I think it'll work at a retail level. I think the press will also like it. I think, I don't want to say she could almost do no wrong, because that's obviously not possible, but in some ways it's a little bit true, I mean, you can go to this show, you can see how her whole vision is so extraordinary, the whole mood, you fall in love with this, imagine being there, being in that mood. And I think that the pieces are, again, it's not like wham, bam, wow, Prada collection, but this is relevant in fashion right now. This is what everyone is feeling. It is more subdued, it is more covered, it is a little darker. Even London designers today, last week, were doing things that were much darker. People like Erdem and Mary Cotanzi were always so bright, we're all about dark. And I think it's, I just think it is really lovely, is what I think.
I think it's a really, really strong. What do you think, Jeremy, fashion critic?
I like that turquoisey colour. It's kind of cute. I like that. I
love the venue.
It's one of those things you would go in a shop and the girl will try it on and she'll look fabulous in it. And it's not like, I mean, we want to be blown away when we're in the audience. We want fantasy and we want to see a 40-foot long dress, because that's what going to a big show is about. It's a wham bam. But this is more business orientated.
But do you think now that shows are on the internet and you can access it like this, do you think at the moment it's about hitting the consumer rather than doing the big shows, because the big shows were just for a few people that were there, and this is staging it for a different audience?
Well, I'd say that this is more like a business. Well, to me anyway, it's more like it's going to appeal to the buyer, the buyers rather than the general public. Because if you were doing a show for the general public, you wouldn't have it so moody and quiet, really, and quite sedate. I mean, this isn't like a grand finale, but you're just looking at the nice clothes. It's fairly low key and
I think what's great about it is that the Zara's can't obviously replicate this. They're not. They maybe they'll do the stripe and something, but they're not going to really do the It's not like an obvious. This is
maybe
I'm wearing
that's
Prada.
Why she pulled back.
I'm doing Prada Autumn Winter 13 today, and
there
therefore
is.
next season. It's very Prada Autumn, and there was a few collections the last few summers that have been like, hi, I'm wearing Prada this season.
Yeah.
And this is not about that. This has got longevity. If you buy this coat or this dress or this skirt, you would be. It's a nice forever piece, and that is also very relevant. People like Celine and these brands now, even Dior, doing collections that aren't just about beautiful pieces that last for a long time. And this is the mood of fashion, and I think that's a good thing.
That's a very interesting point.
Yes.
Carlo, what did you think of this show?
Just listening to you all. I'm trying to understand the context of what she's doing away from this admiration that everybody has for her body of work. Because she obviously, you need to respect her because she's done 30, 40 fantastic seasons. So, I was trying to view today as a one-off show and understanding what's in her mind, is it relevant? And I can't give those answers because all I see is this eclectic mix of ideas which are very well made and very well presented. So the woman is obviously intelligent, and what I see from the show is intelligence. I can't comment per se whether it's particularly directional or not, and that's linked to my Italian heritage because I see her Italian heritage and the same ideas and that same thinking. So I look at it slightly differently, but it's you have to praise the mood. I think it does reflect the mood of the moment, as Yasmin said. But she should be able to do that because she's always done it, and she's one of those people that you look for to set that mood. So.
No, but I mean, sometimes you can have an off season, and I think she has done well to always sort of like stay reliably at the front. And from
Can
this,
you have an off season? Should professional designers that have been showing for 30 or 40 years have an off season?
Yeah, you can have a weird season where people are a bit like love or hate. The thing about this collection is it looks like Prada. It looks like a Prada collection, like to a
You've
T.
got the bag.
It's
you've got
there,
the shoe,
exactly. So if you gave it to me without, I'd go, it was Prada. But there's some collections where I'd go, wow, what's that? Is that Proenza? Is that someone else? But it is Prada.
Unmistakable,
Unmistakable Prada.
I think she
did herself.
Yeah, I think she did herself, and she's got a very strong signature running through it.
She did herself. That's such a fashion phrase, isn't it?
Sophie.
Well, no, but you want to buy into Prada. You don't want to buy into some girl that happens to be working near a shop that might be doing. You want it to be, like, I wouldn't go in and buy, you want to be able to...
Her as the woman at her age that she is now, is that what you guys are saying?
I think she's just feeling herself right
or
now.
The total what the brand has produced. Oh, okay. All right. No, because I always used to think that, especially when I was young and I was into fashion, I'm not saying that I'm not particularly now, but often when I saw an interesting design and then I saw the designer behind the design, I'd go off the design, especially if I didn't like the designer, because there wasn't this sort of holistic approach to what they were doing with many of those people that started. So I often say to my friends, look, if you actually met, they would be wearing something by, I don't know, I'm not going to mention any names, but if you actually spent some time with those people and understood who they were.
No, but I mean, sure, I mean, there have been some designers that I've worked with that I've thought are prats when I've met them, but that's...
Steady, Camilla.
No, but there are, I mean, there are sort of different egos and different, but you have to, I think fashion is about tribes and different, there was the article that Susie Menkes wrote this week about how, last week, about how fashion's now become a circus and everybody dresses up in these sort of outlandish outfits just for the sake of being photographed. And I think that there are different tribes within fashion, and Prada has a very strong tribe behind her, and I think that's, her strength, that she isn't sort of going off. She's quite faithful to her religion.
Yeah. Did she use the word tribe?
I think she used the word circus.
Okay. Because obviously today I don't see youth cults as I used to. When goth, mod, punk, blitz, all those things were emerging, they were proper youth cults. And you could understand the bands that were making the music. It wasn't the designers that were influencing the bands. In the very early days, Joy Division, Smiths, wherever you want to go, they were wearing a particular look, and the people on the street would then be influenced by the bands. And now that's all changed. The bands are influenced by designers. It's completely changed.
Yeah, the Brits last night, it was like It was awful, really. I thought, anyway.
No, it was. Absolutely.
I just thought they all looked like really cheesy, all of them.
There are no youth. The youth cults have gone in the strong way that they began. Sorry, I'll paraphrase that a little bit more. I guess when skinhead or mod or, as I said, indie or goth, all these looks were coming through, it was the musicians that were creating them.
Yeah.
Whereas today, it's the fashion designers that are dressing the musicians. So when designers like Jean Paul Gaultier would say he got his inspiration from the street, and he'd say that 25, 30 years ago, I don't know if you remember this, Jeremy, he really did. Yeah. And those people were getting it from the musicians. Yeah. And that's just changed. The landscape's not like that anymore at all, as Jeremy said at the Brits, and looking at these bands and what people are wearing. Yeah. I don't even know if tribe it doesn't mean anything to me as a word, if you use that word. It's a youth cult. Unless there is a youth cult emerging now. You know, what is it? There's a question for you guys. A rhetorical one, perhaps.
I think we discussed this at one of my previous panels. We talked about the fact there wasn't
the emerging youth cult.
Or something like this, and that, there wasn't such a strong, obvious movement of this time.
Why do you think, Yasmin?
I don't know, because there's just so much going on. There's so much more to access, so much more to be.
It's so much easier to access everything. Yeah. But I think that's the thing with a Prada. I think she always throws a lot of questions out there, and she doesn't wait around for the answer. She just throws bits out there, and you know, that's a show that leaves you slightly scratching your head as you put the pieces together of what happens. I mean, when you do shows, it's always a nice little bang at the end, and you leave on, you know, I don't know, I mean...
Climax.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, you leave on more of a high, and it's more sort of like, do you think shows need to have a more upbeat feel, or...?
Well, it depends what kind of show you're doing, doesn't it? I mean, that is, you know, that I thought it was quite pleasant, actually. You know, I quite enjoyed watching that.
Pleasant, Jeremy.
Pleasant, just pleasant. That's a lovely English word, isn't it?
You're trying to sneak another one in.
Yeah. But I think, you know...
I mentioned the youth cult because she used a sample of Visage in that from, I don't know what Fade to Grey was it 1983?
Yeah,
80, 81 or 82.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's the record that never goes away.
It doesn't, because it represents, I don't know, the ambiguity of that style, and it was being created at a particular time.
I think they use that though because of the girl voice, and it sounds like a bit like a film noir track. You know, they didn't really think it was any reference to it. It's like that sort of fits. It's got a bit more of a groove to it. And
I was looking for more depth, but obviously it's not. No, I don't know. There. No, I think you're right.
No, I think there is I mean, Mrs. Prada said in some interview last season that there's a danger to over-intellectualize fashion, and I think sometimes it's just nice to just have it as the clothes and take it. I mean, I think that will be a roaring success. I mean, her sales are up. She seems to be doing everything in the right direction. And I think it's a strong... Don't do that face at me. I think it was a strong collection. Should we give her a little round of applause and then go and have a cup of tea?
She did Prada very well.